Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. Just want to do a quick front yard garden tour. A few other things have started blooming. Start with these little pots. Got some wax begonias in there. It's just a pink and white mix. And then these Lismachia, I want to say they're called Sunshine. This one has really pretty yellow blooms on it. I think this one gets a little bit more sun. But the bronze leaf begonias do pretty well in the sun. These are in part shade. The boxwood really needs a trim. I still haven't gotten around to trimming the front side of those. The Weigela is starting to, this is my Monet Purple Shades, starting to put up some taller branches. It's going to take a few years to get back to what it was in more of a shrub shape instead of this low. It got crushed by snow a couple years ago, so it's kind of low to the ground right now. What did I say those were? Not onyx. Are they onyx? They're a heuchera, super dark heuchera with really tall blooms. Looking nice back there. There's some Solomon seal arching over and a ghost fern, and then behind that one there's a smaller ghost fern. Not doing quite as well. But I think, if I remember right, I think that one's newer. The beast, as I call it, this firecracker Lismachia. The later it gets into summer, as the new growth kind of matures, it turns more green rather than purple, but it has these really gorgeous bright yellow blooms on it. Really pretty. Just very cheerful. This is a nativar, I think, in our area, so I will be moving that to the back, but with all the rain this year's just been kind of mayhem and everything's delayed, so that's fine. There's no rush. And then I'm going to rethink kind of what I'm planting up in here. We've got this mystery bluegrass. No idea what it is. It wasn't labeled. Thought it was almost dead, but I don't know, it was like $2, so I bought that, planted a couple years ago. And then this was the for crying out loud, the annual, starts with a D. What's the name? It's kind of going over in its blooms now. I can trim it up. I'm thinking of every plant with a D name except for this one right now. Anyway, I can cut it back and it'll rebloom. Although the first bloom's always the nicest when it's really covered in blooms. And the hardy mum is starting to open. This will kind of bloom throughout the rest of the season into fall. It's a lavender pink color. You can kind of see that one's just starting to open. Two of the Rudbeckia, these are annuals that I planted back here, are getting yellowed leaves. I don't know if it's just too much moisture. That one, the blooms are looking good. The mystery pink salvia, possibly rose marvel, is also still blooming and still looks nice. Surefire rose begonias look great. I did just buy 2 more of these on clearance, so I think I'm going to pop them in here. These will fill in completely by the end of the season, though. These are in full sun. I've got this ice ballet carex that's coming back. That one back there, I thought maybe it had a couple sprouts. Let's see if I can get in there. But I don't see any life out of that one. And then this one, just a couple sprouts survived. So we'll see. The opening act pink dot phlox is fully open now. Really gorgeous. These bloom for a really long time. And as each bloom, they'll have like a main bloom stalk, and then they'll shoot out some side shoots. So I don't ever trim them all the way back until those side shoots are done. Otherwise, I'll just trim off just the portion that is done blooming, and I'll leave the stalk because it'll keep sending out side blooms. And this is the Pardon My Cerise bee balm that started to open. Love that deep, sort of a deep hot pink color on those blooms. Really pretty. Is having powdery mildew. Not surprised this year. These are supposed to be a little bit more resistant, but bee balm always gets powdery mildew in my area, always. Let's see, that is the Spanish Flare hellebore. Really established this year. This is its third full year now in the ground, and it has just exploded. I love the bright green of those leaves. We've got a island breeze hosta behind it, and then a blue angel hosta starting to bloom in the back. These are little quickfire hydrangeas starting to bud up. This is one of the, I've got this on clearance, it's one of the Frost Kiss hellebore. I think it's, what is Anna's white or Molly's white? The white one, I think. I have to dig out the tag if I even have it. Then these are the Deutschland. I think their Deutschland is still blooming. Those haven't bloomed in a couple years, but we just got a lot of rain. Stilby and Hosta are really happy this year. This ground cover campanula, kind of at the end of its first bloom cycle. I think though if it's like my other campanula, I should be able to deadhead it and it'll keep blooming. And this is a bigger patch of that annual Rudbeckia. This one is Sahara, I think, if I remember right, but I love that brown around the center, brown on the petals, kind of starting to sprinkle slightly. The Siberian Iris, Caesar's Brother's completely done blooming. Those are really happy with the rain. I'll deadhead those last little bloom stalks. Man, this yew, I trimmed it and it's already putting out tons of new growth. These things are just loving the rain. This pot is really starting to fill in. We've got 3 Supertunia mini vistas in here. We've got Violet Star, Midnight, and White. I love the mini vistas because they have a really strong branching habit, so they stay really full and branch out really well. They don't get leggy super fast like a lot of other petunias do. The Vista series, the regular Vista series, is the same way, but these just stay a lot smaller and more manageable. The regular Vista, I could just put 1 in a pot this size and it would be plenty. We've got Lemon Ball Sedum down there. These get full sun, so it's starting to get that bright kind of orangey corally color on it. 2 more of the Sahara Rudbeckia. More sedum. This is the Nemesia, Inca Nemesia. Really loving Nemesia, these new series. They can take the heat and the sun. I really need to string trim the edge of this garden. It's just been so rainy. Anyway, they just keep doing this all summer. Late in the summer, they'll start getting springy, but that's like way late in the year. So these are making progress. I've got an Albrighto coleus back there. And then that is a 4 o'clocks. I forget the name of it, but it has chartreuse foliage and bright pink blooms. And we've got the little heuchera garden. Now I'm forgetting the name of the purple one. Shoot, I just looked it up too. I know that one is caramel, however you say it. Those I'm really impressed with. The purple ones. So maybe I'll name it in a future video. This is, ooh, look at those big leaves. This is looking really good. This is a Blue Shadow Fothergilla. Love that blue color, and some of the leaves almost have like a pink edge. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. Pink edges to them. I just love that hit of blue in here. This heuchera stays more petite. That one is called Champagne. There's a bigger one back here. I had these out in a different garden bed and they were miserable. It was way too dry for them. So I transplanted them last year. That is a Patriot hosta. And then this red one I remember is called Cajun Fire. Really pretty tones on that and nice peachy blooms. There's another caramel and another champagne over here. And then the limoncello barberry. Man, this was like split open from the rain, but it popped back up. But that new growth gets that really pretty sort of red variegation on it. This one's nice and bright green this year. Still some blooms coming up here on the hollyhocks. These African daisies are still blooming. They're not looking the greatest. I just had a pack of seeds. But man, you can see how readily balsam seeds. This bed doesn't get a lot of direct rainfall or water. So they really don't start coming up until I run the drip line. I have a soaker hose kind of doubled up in here. And they're all sprouting along the soaker hose. They're super easy to pull up though. I mean, they're like little chunky seedlings that are really easy to pull. So I don't mind. They've got, you can see they have, focus. Well, they have really shallow roots. So I just come through a few times, pull them up, thin them out. I've got quite a lot of thinning to do, clearly. But these are really fun for kids too, because the seed heads are like these little balloons just filled with seeds, and when they're ripe you touch them and they just burst and explode and scatter the seeds everywhere. But be careful if you don't want them to spread. Be careful where you plant them. And then the starting to get its sort of iridescent color on the leaves. This is red acre cabbage. I love red cabbage because of its colors. It's just so beautiful and decorative. So I always plant a row of it. My seeds did not come up this year. They were a few years old. I think I only got one seedling. So I went to Gerton's, bought a 6-pack, which turned out to have 10 plants in it that I was able to separate. So that was a good deal. We've got a couple more hollyhocks from last year coming up, and then these are all hollyhock seedlings from where I let the seeds drop. So we'll let those come up. I'll probably thin them out. We've got a bunch of foxgloves coming up over here too, and one white leotris. And then the Dalmatian peach foxglove that I planted last year are still blooming. I'm messing with my camera here still. I love that peach polka dots inside of those blooms. So I just let these bloom and self-seed back here. So I keep having a patch going. This dogwood is, I need to come and trim all these branches off. It's covering, I planted a clematis back here last year. It's growing. It's just real shaded by the dogwood right now. But all the rain we've had, these branches just really dragged down again. So I've got a lot of trimming to do. I should have trimmed it harder. If we hadn't gotten all this rain, it would have been fine. Would have trimmed it a lot harder in the spring, but oh well. And looking over the fence here, kind of the back side, you can see this little patch of, these are all Dark Towers penstemon. I think it's Dark Towers, and a bunch of weeds and volunteers that I have to climb back here. Probably when I prune the dogwood, I'll come back here and get all of those out. And then a patch of leotris back here as well. Those I believe are all kobold, the purple ones. But yeah, this penstemon, I originally planted 2 patches kind of right down where those are. And they self-seed as well. They're also a nativar, super drought tolerant, so they've done well in the past 3 years of drought. They get enough sun here to be happy, clearly. So I just keep letting them self-seed. They're not super aggressive, so I'm fine with it. Let's see, I've got a couple Calamagrostis overdam grasses back here, doing well, also in part shade, and then another leotris. Wow, this one's really big this year. I think this is a white one. Kind of looks like it. I can't remember though. I planted a whole patch. There's another one too. I planted a whole patch of purple and white corms when I first started gardening here. Maybe the first year we were, full season we were in this house. And some survived, some didn't, but they just keep coming up back here. Another foxglove from last year, and then a few seedlings coming up too. So that's the side garden. Balsam is also really drought tolerant. So I'm fine with it being back here because I have to water it very little. It gets almost no direct rainfall, and it does well. And it just gets part sun. So I have my hose all piled up back here. I need to figure that out. But just wanted to get out here and get a little tour in. We also have the big bronze leaf rose begonias, and they are doing really well here. This spot is a little bit, it's like a lamppost planter. Kind of a weird, because it gets full sun on this side, like all day on this side. But then over on this side, it gets part shade from the smokebush tree up against the house from this. So I've planted different things in here, like I planted salvia, geraniums, and they did well, but one side always stays kind of smaller than the other. So I thought I'd try the begonias this year because they can do sun or shade. What else? What else do we have? Oh, this little guy's blooming now. This was planted here already with this landscaping. That was already mature when we moved in 7 years ago. That's spirea, pink blooms. I usually wait. I'll trim it back hard once the blooms are done so that we can actually get back there to the hose access and everything. But I like the hot pink blooms. And then we'll look at the little garden over here. The not denim and lace, crazy blue Russian sage has just started to open its blooms. But I have more campanula in here. I've got rapido white and rapido blue blooming. This is Angelina sedum blooming back here. I still haven't trimmed back the thrift blooms, but those are done. And even the six-sided sedum is putting up some blooms in there. I forget the name of this ground cover sedum, but that is putting out really pretty pink blooms as well. I've got this little patch of, I do not remember the varieties of hens and chicks that I planted in here. This was the first garden I ever planted in this house. This was all landscape rocks. Years ago, a tree had been in here, but that was all rotted away and gone. And so now it was landscape rocks when we moved in. So I dug those all out by hand. And then we have this sedum here. Blooms are done. They were yellow, you can see, but now it's just kind of leftover blooms. And I really like the peach color of that. Even the spent blooms are decorative. It does split open, though. It's one thing I don't like, but it is in part shade here too because of the smokebush tree, so I'd say it's not doing too bad. Lots of blooms on the Angelina sedum, pretty bright, almost acid yellow. We've got here a view of the Russian sage. Again, more, man, look at that. Angelina's really blooming this year. There is a serendipity allium in here that I keep saying I'm going to uncover, dig out some of that sedum, but I haven't yet. I love the blooms on this campanula. I did deadhead this. I just come in and snap off the spent blooms like that. Encourage it to bloom some more. There are a bunch of blooms here on the another one of the hens and chicks. So this is the mother plant. It sends out all these little chicks, hence it's called hens and chicks. And then the mother plant blooms, and then the mother plant dies after it blooms. The blooms are really cool, though. They look kind of like sea creatures or something. And the six-sided sedum here, one of my favorites, also blooming on this side. We've got, I believe this one is called Plum Sparkler sedum, and another one there that I planted last year maybe. A couple more hens and chicks blooms. I've had many blooms on these plants and they just keep spreading out. Doesn't hurt them at all. The violas are still good. Some more serendipity allium. I want to say this one is called Firecracker. Something fire, one of the dazzler sedums. And then we have Autumn Charm sedum, the variegated sedum. It has pink blooms. That's a sport of that other, God, why do I keep reading the name? The other autumn. It's the most common, like, autumn sedum. Solid green leaves, pink blooms. You see it everywhere. And this is a variegated sport. So when I see, every now and then it'll come up with a solid green stem. And I just trim those out so that the whole plant doesn't start reverting back to the solid green. So anyway, hope you enjoyed just a quick little tour here. Look at that smoke bush one more time. Really pretty. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, and please subscribe.